Space was never silent. That was the first thing every pilot learned after leaving Earth's orbit. Movies and old stories liked to describe space as a quiet void, a place where nothing moved and nothing spoke. But the truth was the opposite. Space was filled with noise, cosmic radiation, distant starbursts, the whisper of solar winds, and the endless chatter of satellites and ships bouncing signals across the dark. For independent cargo pilot Eli Carter, that noise was part of everyday life. His ship, the Wayfarer, was a small but sturdy long-haul freighter that had seen better decades. The hull carried scratches from asteroid dust and a few dents from close calls in crowded orbital lanes. The engines hummed with a slightly uneven rhythm that only Eli could interpret like a doctor reading a heartbeat. But the Wayfarer still flew. And right now, it was drifting through a quiet corridor of space between the outer colonies and the asteroid mining belts. Eli leaned back in his chair, boots resting on the console. 30 hours until the next checkpoint, he muttered to himself. Plenty of time to regret every life choice that led to this job. The cockpit lights glowed dim blue, illuminating rows of navigation screens and communication panels. Outside the front viewport stretched a vast ocean of stars. Somewhere far behind him was Earth. Somewhere ahead were the scattered outposts of humanity, barely clinging to distant rocks orbiting unfamiliar suns. Between those points was nothing, or at least there usually was. A sudden beep shattered the quiet. Eli frowned. That's new. The communications console blinked with a faint amber light. Incoming transmission. He straightened in his chair and tapped the panel. No scheduled messages, he said. And nobody should even know I'm out here. The signal was weak, but steady. The frequency was strange. Not standard human communication bands. Eli's fingers hovered over the controls. Most pilots would ignore it. Deep space transmissions were often junk signals, echoes of old satellites, broken relays, or background cosmic noise pretending to be something meaningful. But curiosity was one of Eli's worst habits. He activated the receiver. Static filled the cockpit. Then the signal sharpened. A pattern appeared across the screen, lines of symbols scrolling faster than he could read. Eli squinted. That's not a language I know. The symbols weren't random. They formed repeating clusters, geometric shapes woven into lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. Whoever or whatever sent the message wanted it noticed. Another beep. The ship's computer tried to auto-translate the signal, but the software stalled. Unknown origin detected. Eli leaned closer. Well, that's comforting. The signal repeated again. Same pattern. Same rhythm. Almost like a distress beacon. But the coordinates embedded inside the message made his stomach tighten. They pointed somewhere very close. Right outside the navigation corridor. Eli checked the star map. The location was empty. No stations. No colonies. No human ships. Just a stretch of deep space marked only by an old warning note in the navigation archives. Unsurveyed region. Eli rubbed his chin. Could be a stranded ship. He sighed. Or a trap. He had heard the stories. Pirate signals designed to lure cargo pilots into ambush zones. But pirates rarely bothered with such complicated encryption. And besides, pirates used human frequencies. This signal was different. Completely different. The console beeped again. The message repeated, louder this time. Almost impatient. Eli stared at the coordinates. Then he made the kind of decision that usually got people written into history books or obituaries. All right, he said, reaching for the navigation controls. Let's see who's calling. The Wayfarer changed course. The stars outside the viewport slowly shifted as the ship rotated and fired its maneuvering thrusters. Eli watched the sensors carefully. Distance to signal source, 9,000 kilometers. That wasn't far in space terms. close enough that something large should already appear on radar. But the scanners showed nothing. Great, Eli muttered. Ghost signals. He leaned forward and adjusted the sensor range. Suddenly, the radar screen flickered. Then it lit up. A massive object appeared on the display. Eli's eyes widened. That can't be right. The object was enormous. Larger than any cargo ship. Larger than most military cruisers. A smooth oval shape slowly, drifting in darkness. And it had definitely not been built by humans. He zoomed the camera feed. The Wayfarer's external lenses struggled to focus, but eventually the shape came into view. The ship looked alive. Its surface shimmered with shifting patterns like liquid metal reflecting starlight. Long curved structures extended outward like wings, glowing faintly purple along their edges. No visible engines. No obvious weapons. Just an enormous, silent vessel floating in deep space. Eli exhaled slowly. Well, he whispered. That's new. The signal was coming from it. No doubt about that. He ran a quick database check. No known alien vessels matched the design. Humanity had encountered a few extraterrestrial civilizations over the past century, but nothing like this. And certainly nothing this large. The ship rotated slowly, almost like it had just noticed him. Eli swallowed. Okay, now we're getting weird. His comm panel beeped again. The signal changed. The alien symbols vanished. Instead, a single line of translated text appeared on the screen. The ship's computer had finally cracked something in the code. The message was simple. Unidentified craft. Why are you here? Eli blinked. Oh, you speak English now. He hesitated, then activated the transmitter. This is cargo pilot Eli Carter of the independent freighter Wayfarer, he said. I received your signal. Thought someone might need help. There was a pause. The alien ship glowed brighter for a moment. Then the reply appeared. Signal was not meant for you. Eli scratched his head. Well, sorry about that. Another pause. Then the ship spoke again. You are human. Last time I checked. The cockpit lights flickered. Sensors suddenly screamed warnings. Energy spikes appeared across the alien ship's hull. Eli tensed. If this is where you vaporize me, I'd appreciate a little warning. The alien message returned. Human ships rarely travel this sector. Yeah, Eli said nervously. There's probably a reason for that. Silence followed. Then a new line appeared. Your signal interception has created a complication. That sounds bad. You must come aboard. Eli froze. Come aboard. The alien ship's hull shifted. A section opened like a massive petal unfolding. Inside was a glowing chamber large enough to swallow the Wayfarer whole. Eli stared at it. Every survival instinct, he had screamed, "Don't do this." But curiosity whispered something louder. All right, he muttered. Worst case scenario. I die in a very interesting way. He guided the Wayfarer toward the opening. The alien ship swallowed him. And the moment the chamber closed behind him, Eli realized something very strange. The atmosphere inside the docking bay was breathable. Gravity activated beneath the ship. And waiting on the platform outside his airlock was a group of alien women. They were tall, elegant, armored in sleek metallic suits that shimmered like the hull of their ship. Their eyes glowed faintly violet, and every single one of them was staring directly at him. Eli slowly stood up from his pilot seat. Well, he whispered, one wrong signal. He looked through the window again. And one very strange crew. Eli Carter stood frozen inside the cockpit of the Wayfarer, staring through the thick glass of the viewport. Outside, inside the massive alien docking chamber, a group of tall figures waited. They were unmistakably humanoid, but clearly not human. 6 of them stood in a semicircle around the landing platform. Their armor shimmered with soft purple light that flowed across the metal like liquid energy. The armor seemed grown rather than built, smooth and organic in design. But the most striking thing about them was their appearance. Every single one of them was female, or at least they looked female by human standards. Tall, graceful figures with sharp features, long silver hair, and glowing violet eyes that reflected the dim lights of the bay. Their expressions were calm but alert, studying the small cargo ship that had just intruded into their world. Eli swallowed. Well, this is new. His ship's computer beeped softly. Atmosphere confirmed breathable. Good, Eli muttered, because I think I'm about to make some questionable decisions. He grabbed his jacket, clipped a small translator device to his collar, and walked toward the airlock. The door hissed open. Cool air rushed into the chamber. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Eli stepped down onto the platform. The sound of his boots echoed softly across the metallic floor. The alien women watched him carefully. One of them stepped forward. She was taller than the others, her armor decorated with thin glowing lines that formed elegant patterns across her chest and shoulders. Her silver hair flowed down her back like a waterfall of starlight. Her eyes studied Eli with intense curiosity. When she spoke, her voice carried a musical tone, as if every word was part of a melody. You are the human who intercepted our signal. Eli nodded slowly. Yeah, that would be me. The translator device on his collar hummed as it converted the alien language. The woman tilted her head slightly. You are smaller than expected. Eli shrugged. Space travel builds character, not height. Behind her, one of the other crew members whispered something in their language. A few of them smiled faintly. Eli blinked. Did she just laugh? The leader stepped closer. I am Captain Lyris, commander of this vessel. She gestured to the massive interior of the ship. This ship is called the Asteroid. Eli looked around in amazement. The docking chamber was enormous. The walls glowed with shifting patterns of purple and blue light, like energy flowing through living veins. What kind of ship is this? He asked. Captain Lyris hesitated. A research vessel. Eli raised an eyebrow. That big. The captain did not answer immediately. Instead, she asked another question. Why did you respond to the signal? Eli rubbed the back of his neck. I thought someone might be in trouble. Another crew member stepped forward, shorter, with bright violet markings across her armor. Humans usually ignore signals in uncharted sectors. Eli smiled. Most humans are smarter than me. A brief silence passed between them. The alien crew exchanged quiet glances. Finally, Captain Lyris spoke again. The signal you intercepted was not meant for your species. Yeah, I figured that part out. It was a private communication between our ship and another vessel. Eli frowned. Another alien ship? Yes. Then, where is it? The room grew quiet. Captain Lyris's expression darkened slightly. That is the complication. She turned and motioned for Eli to follow. If you have already involved yourself in this situation, you deserve an explanation. Eli hesitated for only a second before walking with them. The inside of the Asteroid looked nothing like a human spacecraft. Instead of cold metal corridors, the walls curved smoothly like the inside of a shell. Soft glowing veins of light ran along the ceiling, illuminating the path. The air smelled faintly like rain. Eli glanced around with fascination. Your ship feels alive. One of the crew members answered. In a sense, it is. Eli stopped walking. I'm sorry, what? Captain Lyris continued moving. The Asteroid is partially bioengineered. It grows and repairs itself. Eli blinked several times. Of course it does. They eventually entered a large chamber filled with floating holographic displays. Star maps hovered in the air like glowing constellations. At the center of the room was a massive projection of space. Eli immediately noticed something strange. Several red markers blinked across the map. "Those are ships," he asked. Captain Lyris nodded. "Enemy ships." Eli's stomach dropped. "Enemy ships?" Another crew member spoke. "The vessel we attempted to contact carries critical data for our civilization." Eli crossed his arms. "And someone doesn't want that data delivered." Captain Lyris nodded again. "Correct." Eli pointed at the map. "So, these red ships, pirates?"
No.
Her eyes darkened. "They are hunters." "Hunters?" "They track our kind across the galaxy." Eli felt a chill run down his spine. "And they're coming here?" "Yes." The room fell silent. Eli stared at the map again. "How many?" One of the crew members answered quietly. 7. Eli let out a low whistle. "And your ship can fight them?" Captain Lyris hesitated. "Our ship was not designed for war." "Great." The holographic display shifted. One of the enemy markers blinked closer. The room filled with soft warning tones. Eli looked at the captain. "How long until they get here?" "Less than 1 hour." Eli leaned against the console. "Okay, I'm just a cargo pilot, but I feel like I accidentally walked into a war." Captain Lyris studied him carefully. "You are free to leave." Eli looked toward the docking bay corridor. He imagined flying back into empty space and pretending none of this happened. But the map still blinked with enemy ships. And the Asteroid looked completely unprepared for battle.
He sighed.
"Yet about that." Captain Lyris waited. Eli cracked his knuckles. "My ship might be small, but it's fast. And I've outrun pirates before." "That does not change the situation."
"Maybe not," Eli said.
"But I might be able to help." The alien crew exchanged uncertain glances. Captain Lyris folded her arms.
"How?"
Eli looked at the holographic map again. A slow grin spread across his face. "Well," he pointed to a cluster of nearby asteroids. "How do you feel about setting a trap?" Part 3. The Trap in the Dark. The bridge of the Asteroid buzzed with tension. Outside the ship, the endless darkness of space stretched across the stars. 7 enemy ships were approaching. Eli Carter stood beside Captain Lyris, studying the tactical display. The enemy vessels looked aggressive, sharp, angular designs that resembled metallic predators. "Those ships look mean," Eli said. "They are," Lyris replied calmly. "How good are their sensors?" The captain looked at one of her officers. "Long-range detection is excellent. Close-range detection, average." Eli smiled. "Perfect." He tapped the holographic map. "Here's the plan." He pointed again to the asteroid cluster nearby. "These rocks are rich in magnetic metals. That messes with sensors." The alien officers leaned closer. Eli continued. "We hide your ship inside the asteroid field." "And your ship?" Lyris asked. Eli grinned. "My ship becomes the bait." Several alien crew members protested immediately. "That is dangerous. You would be destroyed." Eli shrugged. "Only if I get caught." Captain Lyris studied him carefully. "Why would you risk your life for us?" Eli paused. Then he said quietly, "Because someone answered my signal once when I needed help." The room fell silent. Captain Lyris slowly nodded. "Very well." Minutes later, the plan began. The Asteroid slipped silently into the asteroid field, hiding among the massive drifting rocks. Eli launched the Wayfarer back into open space. The enemy ships immediately detected him. Their formation shifted. 3 ships broke away and accelerated toward the cargo freighter. Eli leaned back in his seat. "All right, boys, chase me." He pushed the engines to maximum. The Wayfarer shot forward. Behind him, the alien hunter ships fired bright lances of energy. Explosions flashed dangerously close. Eli grinned nervously.
Yep.
Definitely means ships. He steered toward the asteroid field. Inside the rocks, the Astrea waited silently. As Eli's ship raced past the entrance, the hunter ships followed. That was the moment Captain Lyris gave the order. Activate the trap. Hidden emitters across the asteroid field suddenly powered on. A powerful magnetic pulse surged through the area. The hunters' sensors flickered. Their navigation systems glitched. Several ships collided with drifting asteroids. The Astrea emerged from hiding. For the first time, its full power awakened. The glowing wings along its hull ignited with blinding light. Energy beams shot across the battlefield. Within minutes, the hunters were disabled. The surviving enemy ships fled into deep space. Silence returned. Eli exhaled slowly. Well, he said over the comm channel. That worked better than expected. Captain Lyris's voice answered. You have saved this ship, Eli Carter. Eli smiled, happy to help. Hours later, the Wayfarer prepared to depart. Eli stood again in the docking bay. Captain Lyris approached him. Our paths may cross again, human. Eli nodded. Next time, try sending the signal to the right address. For the first time, the alien captain laughed. Then the Wayfarer launched back into the stars. As Eli flew away, his console suddenly beeped. A new message appeared.
From the Astrea.
It read, If you ever need help, send the signal. Eli leaned back in his chair. One wrong signal, he said softly, and one very strange crew. He smiled as the stars stretched endlessly before him, because somehow he knew this wasn't the last time their paths would cross.